Now, personally, as someone who actually had to deal with, I guess, judges that don't always agree with law enforcement tactics, this kind of touches a nerve here because I'm surprised it continues to happen. But a federal judge just slammed the brakes on one of the most controversial immigration laws in America, literally one day before it was supposed to begin. That's wild. Texas lawmakers called it a major victory for the border security, which is very important to any sovereign country. Critics called it unconstitutional. And now the legal battle over the Senate Bill 4, also known as SB4, is exploding once again. So, what exactly happened? Why did the judge step in? And why are some parts of the law still active despite the ruling? Let's talk about this. So we're going back with the immigration debates with some of the legal battles happening here in America right now. Hit that like, subscribe if you like what you watch here. Help a brother out either way. Hit the subscribe button because, it's free. Won't cost you a penny. I swear. So first, let's talk about what Texas Senate Bill 4 actually is. The SB4 is a sweeping immigration law originally passed in Texas back in 2023. The law was designed to give Texas state and local authorities more power to deal with illegal border crossings. Supporters of the law argue the federal government was not doing enough to secure the southern border, so Texas needed to take action. I agree. The law would allow state and local police officers to arrest people suspected of crossing the border illegally. It also creates a new state crimes tied to unlawful entry and re-entry into Texas from Mexico. Perhaps the most controversial, it would allow Texas judges to order migrants to leave the country. That's where the constitutional fight begins, because immigration enforcement has traditionally been controlled by federal government, not individual states. I could agree with that. And critics immediately argue that Texas was overstepping his authority. Possibly. That could be argued as well in court. Then came the bombshell ruling. Just one day before SB4 was scheduled to take full effect, U.S. District Judge David Ezra issued a preliminary injunction blocking key sections of the law. Judge Ezra reportedly argued that several parts of the SB4 likely violated the Constitution because they interfere with federal government's authority over immigration policy. Maybe. According to reports, the blocked section includes the creation of state crime for illegal reentry, the ability for Texas magistrates to order deportations, punishment for refusal deportation orders, requirements forces judges to continue prosecutions even when migrants have pending asylum claims or immigration cases. Civil rights groups celebrated the decision almost immediately. Organizations including the ACLU and the Texas Civil Rights Project argue that the law could lead to racial profiling and unlawful arrest of people legally living in the U.S. Now, as a brown guy here, right, born in Puerto Rico, you guys can see, I could probably see that, but not as crazy as they're making it sound. I haven't experienced it. Well, yes, I have. But regardless, Judge Ezra even warned in this ruling that it would be impossible for every state to create its own immigration system separate from the federal government. Now, here's where things get really complicated, as usual, right? So it's laws in here. Even though major sections of the SB4 were blocked, one part of the law still went into effect. And I guess that's all you really need to get the job done. Hopefully, Texas law enforcement officers can still arrest people suspected of illegally crossing the border under portions of the law that were not halted by the injunction. That means while Texas judges may not currently be able to issue deportation orders, police officers may still be able to detain undocumented migrants. Now, part of that to me could be a good thing. It could be a bad thing. It could lead to profiling, depending on how much training the officers really have. But if you really think about it, majority of the officers down there by the border are Hispanic. So that's kind of silly. And that's creating massive confusion about the law and how it would actually enforce in real life situations. Critics say this partial enforcement could create legal chaos. Supporters say it's still a win for Texas border security. Either way, the courts are far from finished with this fight. And I can see both sides, or at least the point of view on each side. But this entire legal battle is really about one major question. Who controls immigration enforcement in America? I've always thought it was the federal government. But as you guys know, a lot of that hasn't happened. So Texas leaders, including Governor Greg Abbott and Attorney General Ken Paxton, have repeatedly argued that the state has sovereign rights to defend itself and what they describe as an invasion at the southern border. Texas officials also claim SB4 mirrors existing federal immigration law. But opponents say that doesn't matter. Of course it doesn't. Federal court have historically ruled immigration enforcement is primary responsibility of the federal government. And Judge Ezra appears to agree with that argument. What makes this even more interesting is that this law has already bounced through multiple courts before. At one point, appeals court's decision temporarily allowed parts of the law to move forward. Then other rulings blocked enforcement again. This back and forth is wild. Now, we've seen another major legal shutdown unfold in real time. As always. A lot of legal experts believe this battle is eventually heading straight to the U.S. Supreme Court, as they all do, and it should. It's wild how that works. And if that happens, the consequences could be enormous, because this case isn't just about Texas anymore. It's going to apply everywhere in America, and it could determine how much power individual states have over immigration enforcement moving forward. So if Texas ultimately wins, other states could try to pass similar laws. I could see Florida trying. Hell, I could see Georgia trying that. But if the courts permanently strike SB4 down, it would reinforce federal control over immigration policy nationwide. I think either way should work as long as it's done. The outcome could reshape the political debate surrounding border security for years to come. I guess it's going to depend on the flavor of the year, the flavor of the voting, whatever, you guys know. But as expected, reactions online have been extremely divided. Supporters of SB4 say the federal government has failed to control illegal immigration and states need stronger tools to secure the border. Critics argue laws like this risk targeting innocent people and creating constitutional violations. And with immigration continuing to dominate political conversations heading into the future elections, this case is likely to remain one of the most talked about legal battles in our country. Why wouldn't it be, right? That's the one topic everybody wants to talk about today, but during the Obama administration, nobody even bothered. But with that said, I would love to hear what you guys have to say. Should Texas have the power to enforce immigration laws themselves? Should other states do the same? Or should immigration remain strictly under federal control? I'd love to hear what you guys think about that topic. Comment section below. Hit the like. If you didn't like it, hit the dislike. But either way, subscribe.